Welcome, everybody. My name is Ethan Book, and I am the Outreach and Education Coordinator for the Iowa Organic Association. More specifically, my role relates to TOP, which is the Transition to Organic Partnership Program within the USDA. And I work mainly on exactly what my title says, education and outreach. So I help organize and facilitate field days. This winter, we'll be doing a series of 6 webinars, and I also go and visit a lot of colleges, high schools, talking about organic, transition to organic opportunities, and the top mentorship mentee program. So we are so excited to have Lexi. Lexi is from MOSA, and she's going to be talking to us about the OCCSP, one of those great acronyms that we have, the Organic Certification Cost Share Program. And so I will let Lexi give her introduction to herself and then kind of dive in with a little bit of an overview of this program. So Lexi, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and what a pleasure it is to participate in this webinar. I hope it will be very useful to you. And my purpose here is to give you a broad overview of the program, basically what you can expect with the application process, and maybe some tools, hints about working with your county FSA office. That being said, my name is Lexi Petrovitz, and I've been serving, among other things, as the cost share coordinator here at MOSA. I've been doing cost share since approximately 2011. So I've been with the program for some time and have watched it grow, evolve, and worked with our clients, helping them apply and get through the process, which is actually quite straightforward. So with that being said, I can give you an overview of the program, what it offers. And here at MOSA, one of the things we talk about, one of the ways we like to explain it, is it helps to defray the cost of organic certification, because organic farmers have to pay to be certified, while conventional farmers don't have to pay to be conventional farmers in that sense. So it is, the expense of certification can take a little bit of a cut out of someone's budget. So we look at it that way, help defray the cost of certification. So exactly what is it? The way the program is set up, you can get a rebate or a refund or a reimbursement on your organic certification costs up 75% up to $750 per scope. So that's a key piece of this. The rebate is 75% up to $750 per scope. And just to clarify, the scopes are crop, livestock, wild crop, and handling, or I've also seen it referred to as processor handling. So there are 4 scopes: crop, livestock, wild crop, processing, handling, or also known as handling. That is a really key part of this process, because sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about that. So when you're applying for cost share, be very mindful that your invoice, your paid invoice, and I'll get to that, your paid invoice from your certifier clearly indicates your scopes. And of course, your certificate should name those scopes as well, because that's one of the first things that FSA is going to look at to help determine what your rebate will be. So it's not, but one thing also to keep in mind is it's 75% up to $750, but it's based upon what you actually pay. So if you pay $350 for a scope, you're not going to get back $750. You're going to get a percentage of that. So if you pay $1,000, you'll get back $750. If you pay $500, you'll get back $7,500 of that. I mean, 75% of that. So these are the details that sometimes can be a little confounding. But for example, if you were a crop and livestock producer, 2 scopes, and you paid $2,000, you are going to get back $750 on each scope. And there have been times when working with the FSA office, that can be a little confusing. So that's just something to be very mindful of. So watch when you apply that your invoices clearly denote the scopes, and that your certificate definitely should denote the scopes. And most important is that invoice has to show paid. FSA will not reimburse you for partial payments. So if you have a bill out there for 1,000 and you paid 750, they're not going to offer that rebate based upon your partial payment. It has to say paid in full. The other piece here is that the rebate is not based upon calendar year payments. It's based upon the federal fiscal year. So the payments that are covered are payments that were submitted between October 1 and September 30th. So when you're applying for cost share, just make sure that the invoices you are submitting with your application are the invoices that you paid. It doesn't have to be invoiced and paid, just paid between October 1 and September 30th. Other things, the FSA will look to make sure that the person who's applying is the person who has a certificate. So, you know, if you say, hey, you know, ask your daughter, go down and apply for cost share. If her name is not on the account, not on the contact information, they're not going to go and issue the check to your daughter, even if she has a connection with your operation. So really typically the primary operator, that person should be the one applying for the cost share for their operation, whatever that operation may be. And when you go to the cost share office, you'll need to make sure that you can verify your organic certification status. And that's actually a lot, it's a lot better this year because certificates are now posted and generated out of the Organic Integrity Database. So FSA can just look to that federal database and see the organic certification status. Okay, you have to have an active organic certificate to apply for cost share. So it doesn't mean that you have to have your update completed, your annual review completed by September 30th. It just means that when you apply, you have to have an active certificate. And of course, if you haven't heard already a couple times, the application deadline is October 31st. So if you get to the FSA office, you apply for your cost share application and say you don't quite have your paid invoices yet, that's okay. Typically, they'll just reach out to your certifier and say, hey, can you give us these invoices? Or they'll give you a little time to get your invoices. But the key piece is get down there by the 31st, get your paperwork done, and then FSA, who are just wonderful, will just coach you through the remainder of the process. And if they need anything, they'll let you know. The application is really not too bad. It's pretty straightforward. I have a paper copy here. And I know that this will be talked about in a little bit. It's the CCC 884. That's your cost share application. And without getting too much into the weeds, if you haven't been to FSA before, and I know this will be talked about in this webinar, there's some other documents you have to complete and fill out so they can basically get you into their system. That's and if you're transitional and this is your first year being certified, they may have some information about you. They may not have all of your information. They're going to have to try to coordinate all the information. So there'll be a little bit of business and paperwork and kind of things to fill out and verify. And that's just part of the process of getting onboarded with the cost share program. And then there's also, you know, the basic question is what costs are reimbursed? Well, basically, for purposes of this conversation, it's your organic certification costs. If you have penalties, late fees for something, that's not reimbursable. Your inspection costs definitely are. There are, you know, other things related basically to your business, not eligible, you know, but you can take a look. I don't know if you folks have seen this, but you can pull this offline. It's the cost share fact sheet, USDA organic certification cost sheet, which is got all the nuts and bolts of whatever you would need to know for purposes of applying for cost share. And I don't know what else there is really to talk about. I think that's pretty much it. I think the key piece is um, just get down to the cost share office by October 31st and get your application in. And normally my experience is working with clients, they're pretty quick about doing the rebate. You know, it's usually anywhere, I think, between two weeks to a month. So I think that that's pretty nice. They do a good job of moving things through the system. Um, and and as far as I know, cost share will be back next year once they get the farm bill hashed out. Every year, every time the farm bill is up, there's this period of conversation where it's not going to happen. We're going to drop cost share. Lots of conversation and anxiety about that. And in the 11 years or such that I've been doing this, I have yet to see, knock on wood, that this program will be deactivated or not funded. And it only seems to be growing every year. So there's something to be said in that. And one of the things I often, when I'm speaking with clients about it, is just to remember this really key point that farmers, for example, and anyone involved in the organic food production industry is contributing at such a significant level, not only just to nutrition and food and feeding the planet, but to this economy, to so many people are connected to this, so that this rebate is really your contribution. I mean, it's an important part of what you do and what you contribute. And I've only watched our farmers, our MOSA certified farmers and, you know, handlers, etc., participate each year and are, I think, benefiting from this, and will say so to me. Like they really do rely upon this as a key part of their budgeting. So there you go. I see a hand is raised.
Yeah, and can you see the form that I
Yes, I
put up?
do.
Okay, so yeah, let's James, I'll allow you to talk here and ask your question.
Are there any statistics you have on how many operations have been doing this nationally or by state or whichever?
Oh yeah, it's funny you should. I was just looking at that before. I wonder if I can find that grid. It's been pretty, I should have had this with me. I was just looking at this, but um, there is the website, the USDA cost share website. Let me see if I can pull this up. Uh, it's, I know it's, well, I'm going to futz here a little bit while I should have had this up when I joined in. I was just looking at this. Let me find that, and you want to jump to the next question? We come back to that?
Yeah. Yep, yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead and raise your hand or type them in the chat, and we'll get those. Get you on those. I just wanted to kind of go over the sheet a little bit too, because um, this is one of those things that it's not a difficult piece of paperwork. As Lexi mentioned, it's got your 4 scopes, the crops, the wild crops, the livestock, and the processing handling, and you are you can work those in. So if you are a livestock farmer who's also growing crops and you have those 2 scopes of certification, as she mentioned, you can see that there's just an option for crops and then for livestock, and then you will be reimbursed that 75% up to $750 for each one of those. Um, and then there's just your statement. So the key, as Lexi mentioned, is, you know, making sure that you are the one on file with the certification and in the FSA office. But it's a pretty straightforward application process. And you know, if you haven't worked with the FSA before, if you're a new farm and you haven't worked with the FSA office before, there's a few other pieces of paperwork that you have to fill out. But I'm guessing most people that are filling out a, not all, but most people that are filling out an OCCSP form have a relationship with the FSA, going for a while now.
Okay, so I have that document that I was looking at. It's the report to Congress, and I don't know if I can share this or but it gives you the stats on cost share going back to actually 2010. I'm looking at the report right now for the last report that's in there is for 222. It takes a while for the stats to hit the Federal Register. But for example, I'm looking at Iowa, and not all the information has yet been flushed in. But for Iowa, in 2022 cost share fiscal year, the disbursements were $192,857. So like $193,000 went to was distributed by the FSA offices for Iowa in 222. In larger states, for example, California, the total dispersed was $1,352,872,000. So about $1.3 million in California. Wisconsin, my state, in 222, the total disbursements were 416,000 basically. And so it's, if you go back to 2010, and how would you like me to provide a link to this? It's right on the USDA website.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, where should I
You
can I
should be able
post
to
it?
put in the chat or
Your chat's
Okay.
disabled.
oh, it is. I don't.
Oh, let me see if I get in there. Okay, let's see if that link works. If not, and the other thing I should point out is that if the USDA, the Organic Certification Cost Share Program, USDA website has so much information. And that's basically, as I learned this, you know, I was constantly going in there and reading and looking at things and trying to more fully understand how rebates were issued and what things I needed to look out for. So there's an awful lot of information, and literally you just have to type in organic certification cost share and bingo, it's right there.
I think the chat should be working now. Sorry, I hadn't realized that. I just re-put the link in there. And yep, that just takes you to it. It is a program that is being used in my experience. It's not a program that I've personally used, but talking with a lot of farmers, it's a fairly easy program. The biggest thing is just taking in your receipt, as Lexi mentioned, and making sure it's itemized on that different scopes.
Also, I would just add there, most offices require the actual paid invoice receipts. So that's the one thing where when I'm working with FSA offices, somebody will provide a statement, or somebody will provide, you know, proof of payment by credit card. They're going to want to see exactly that invoice, that stamp's paid on it, you know, showing a zero balance, because once they receive your application in the county office, and they have to submit and take all these applications, and one person in the county office, as far as I know, reviews all that information. If there's any kind of question or concern, it will come back. So for me, the one thing I've learned is to make sure that you have the documentation that's being asked of you readily available and completely easy to understand. And one thing to keep, you know, certifiers have different ways of invoicing. That's definitely one thing I do know. So for example, most of the invoices on a flat fee. So if you're certified for crop and livestock, you're going to get one bill. And if your bill is $1,000, 500 is crop, 500 is livestock. So in the FSA calculation, if your invoice on a flat fee basis, they'll just take the total and divide by 2. But you could pay $1,200, and if only 200 of that is for livestock, you're only going to get 75% on that $200 for the livestock. They're not going to take the total amount and divide it by 2. So you'll get 500 for crop, and then you'll get the 250 for the livestock. So that's a question that does come up frequently when we're working with FSA offices for clarification about how much did this person pay for crop, how much did this person pay for livestock. So when you're looking at your invoices, make sure that it's really clear what percentage went to each scope. And you could, depending upon your operation, you could be reimbursed for at least 4 scopes that are listed. And there are people who do carry all 4 scopes. So that's just like a little insider hint I've learned over the years working in this program.
Great. Well, awesome. Well, any other questions or thoughts on anything? Go ahead. I think the chat's open, or you can just raise your hand and I will allow you to talk, I guess. Well, perfect. Well, I think the biggest thing, seeing no questions, the biggest thing is just a reminder, October 31st, to get out to your FSA office beforehand. Maybe early next week. That way, if you need to gather any other information, you have that with you.
And I'll add to that, there is what's called the USDA Service Center Locator. And if you're not sure about where your county office is located, just click into that. Here's another useful link that I'll throw in here. And then sometimes there's another interesting thing. Sometimes depending upon where your county is, your FSA office might share a few counties. So it's always really good to kind of poke around if you're not sure. I learned this myself working with this program. And so that's another handy tool. And I also encourage people to call their FSA office ahead of time, let them know you're on your way. And they might have some good pointers for you, what they might ask you to bring besides, or whatever. But I know that, just a little pep talk, I know that these guys are great to work with, these people, and they are contacting me on a regular basis saying, hey, are you sure that everybody is applied in your, so they're doing a really great outreach. And so I think it's a good program. So there you go. Thank you.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not topic related, but I'm sure you're both pretty proficient with this. So as far as integrity in the industry and reporting of potential fraud, what process? I mean, obviously nobody wants to deal with that. I've seen it a couple times in my career. Any insight on that USDA level? I mean, obviously you can always call the certifier specifically, but if there's something that needs to go to USDA level, I mean, there's always tons of discussion online about imports, et cetera, right? Any thoughts on that?
Sure. So there is a NOP complaint portal, and I'll put up a link. I'll put up a link to the whole thing, but at the bottom of this link, you will find a complaint portal. And really, that's the best way to do it, is through the NOP complaint and compliance and enforcement, because that goes directly to it. Certifiers, they're in a stickier situation. This allows the NOP to deal with it directly, I think. And then the National Organic Program can work with certifiers or anything like this, anything like that. So anyone is allowed to file a complaint. It is not just a certifier or a neighbor. Anyone's allowed to file a complaint. And you just go to, well, here, let me see if I can just share this screen right here. Anyone's allowed to file a complaint. you can provide as much information, but like I said, if you scroll down to this online complaint portal, it gives you the option to remain anonymous, enter your information in, whether you're submitting it on behalf of an organization, and then select your subject. So it's pretty easy and available. And I know that is a question that comes up a lot, just with the Iowa Organic Association, and I assume MOSA receives emails like that as well. We get questions about that all the time, and that's the best way we've found to deal with it.
And I could just add too, although this is not my area, but I do know with the strengthening of organic enforcement initiative, you know, this is not information just sort of sits in a database and people move on it when they, you know, at their convenience. This is very much seriously taken with SOE. So they have put a lot of work into this site and being able to receive the, you know, what a complaint would be. So just adding that in there, because I know I've had conversations with farmers who feel sort of dejected, or they're not sure, they don't really know. And as Ethan is saying, this site is available, and this is where you start. And so there's a process there.
Did that
Yeah,
just become available as a portal in April then, when those went into play?
I don't think so, but I think that they may have improved it somewhat.
Yeah, I believe there's always been, I won't say always. I believe there's been for some time now reporting option, but I think that they are they're giving notice that they're stepping up their follow-up on these, I think, is maybe the best way to do it since that came into effect.
Appreciate the update. Thanks.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
All right. Well, any other questions, let us know, and we will, if not, I don't see any in the chat or in the Q&A. I just want to thank you again, Lexi, for taking some time with us this morning. This is one, you know, coming from my standpoint as a farmer who goes into the FSA office as little as possible, or as often as possible. I don't know. It just depends on the year. It's a fairly straightforward program. And I think that the FSA office has done a good job of making it pretty straightforward for organic producers to receive that cost share. It's like you mentioned, it is not a direct payment. It's a percentage, it's a cost share. But over the years, they have raised that percentage as the cost of the certification has gone up. So I think that shows that, you know, there is some desire of keeping that program going and having it as an option for farmers out there. So we are thankful for that for sure, and for the FSA offices that make it, like I said, fairly easy to come in and sign a few things and share a few documents, and you're good to go. Any last words, Lexi?
Just remember that deadline, October 31st. That's the talk that I talk right now. But yeah, no, this is great. And as I say, I've been working on this program since 2011, and I've watched it grow, and expect it will be here continuing to support farmers and the industry.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will be sending a follow-up email with recording if you want to reference back anything, but you can always find me at the iowaorganic.org website. And if you have any problems, any questions when you go visit your local FSA office, also just let us know and we can get you in contact with any help that you need. So thank you everyone for coming. And thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you. You too. Have a great day.